What's up, everybody? Mega Third back here for FSi DFS. We've got a really nice 9-game slate to look at for Monday, June 27th. Kind of sad the 1 cent contests are over at DK. It worked out really, really well for those who are watching and jumped in there. I was able to increase my achievements with strikeouts and home runs by a couple thousand. Actually, it's like 10,000 for some of them. It was great. So I really appreciate them do that. So now it's back to playing dime contests to try to drive up those achievements, but it really does help. You can actually buy some really nice things in the DK store. Actually, for my daughter's birthday, I got her. It's only like a little over 100,000 crowns. A beautiful pair of Beats wireless headsets, and I ordered and it actually came the next day. So some good programs there to take advantage of. One thing I did learn, I know sometimes we don't talk as much about lineup construction and contact and contest selection as much as we do like who are good plays in teams and things like that. I think maybe McKinley and I over the All-Star break might do a couple breakdown videos on that. But one thing I kind of learned is generally we stack, we tell you which pitchers to pick, and then we usually try to stack a couple teams in both FanDuel and DraftKings and maybe take some one-offs in good spots. But I did learn through this where I was just picking the two pitchers I thought would have the highest K rate and then home run hunting and then filling in the rest of the people with value plays, not caring if I won or lose. I was just all trying to jack up my achievements there. But I did find that I did have quite a bit of success with that model. And I think it's more of a GPP thing. I don't think it's definitely a cash build thing. I still think you want to stack in cash, but I think going forward each day, I am going to try to build a lineup in like the 10-cent contests for take the top two pitchers I think are the highest K rate of the day, and then home run hunt, and then fill in the rest with value and see if I continue to have success. So I'll report back in a week and two to let you know how that's doing. I still do my everyday stack. I was on Arizona and Minnesota, and that's working out well. But it just doesn't seem like they play games on the same slate because it's a little bit of a time differential. So I think I'll still continue trying that one, but I think I'm leaning more towards Pittsburgh and Yankees now. I've had a lot of success with that recently. So just enough introduction stuff for you. Let's get on to this slate here. Only one real weather concern, that's the Yankees and Oakland, but it looks like that the rain probably will end by the time first pitch, maybe a late start, but I don't think there's really too much of an issue there. So let's start with Pittsburgh and Washington Nationals. Last couple of games, we've had two okay offenses versus two bad pitchers in a decent pitching park. Same thing today. It looks like Miguel Yajure is going to pitch for Pittsburgh. 4K, no, absolutely nothing about him. And I didn't dig into it because I'm not even sure that he's the one when the slate actually comes up that's going to pitch. All the regular pitchers have pitched due to injury. They've sent some guys down. So it could be anybody. It could be a bullpen game. But bottom line is just don't touch the situation. Eric Fedde on the other side is not a good pitcher either. There are some strikeouts in this Pittsburgh lineup. I think you can consider him in the cheap category because it is a smaller slate. If this was a bigger slate, he'd be an absolutely no interest or probably a fade. But I think in larger, if you're playing 150 max, even in like a 20 max, you potentially could consider him here. A lot of big high totals in this game, a 9.5, a 4.4 on the Pittsburgh side, and a 5.1 on the Washington side. So for bat wise, I think Pittsburgh is my favorite stack here for cheap bats. Washington, even though they have the higher total, they're harder to stack. Like, who do you take besides Soto and Bell? Cruz maybe, but he's definitely past his prime. Hernandez is more of a contact hitter. Yadiel Hernandez was good early on in the season. He's cooled off a bit. It's hard to find 4 or 5 guys to stack here for a full stack to make your primary. So that's why they're in the cheap one. I think they're better like fill-ins with a as a secondary stack for Washington. Pittsburgh, again, I'm not playing as a primary stack. I think on FanDuel it would be like a 4-4-1, or I'd probably mix in, maybe do 4-4 on DraftKings with a one-off. But I'm definitely not looking to do a 5-man stack of Pittsburgh today in cash. And GPP, definitely you can consider that. Next up, we have the Oakland Athletics and the New York Yankees. Again, a little bit weather concern, but not super much. Paul Blackburn and Jordan Montgomery. Blackburn hasn't had a bad start to the season. The only thing is he pitches in a pitcher's ballpark. So I think moving to Yankee Stadium is definitely a downgrade. They're against definitely a good offense here. So I think he's definitely going to be on the fade list. He is a good ground ball pitcher. So that's the one thing. He might be able to limit the power from the Yankees, but I don't think that they have a really good bullpen. And I think he'll probably um, be able to build up a lot of the runs here. Jordan Montgomery on the other side, I think is going to be a chalk SP1 for a lot of people today. Sorry for the brief pause there of the video. I had to pause because we have a railroad tracks like right outside our house, and with like all the windows open and everything, like the train just went by and it was just like super, super loud. It's usually only like 12 cars, but it was like 30 today. Plus, you might hear in the background, I got helicopters flying back and forth too. So no idea what's going on there. But anyways, back to baseball. Jordan Montgomery, he's not like a high K pitcher, but against this Oakland team that's pretty much like a AAA team, I think he'll definitely eat innings and do well and get the win here. So definitely probably going to be very, very highly owned. So Yankees, I think, make a good GPP stack. Like I said, Blackburn is a good ground ball pitcher, so he might be able to limit a little bit the power of the Yankees. So I don't really like him as like a top cash stack, but if you do want to play him in cash, I'm not going to hate it. And Oakland, I think, is just a leverage stack against Montgomery's ownership. Boston and Toronto, Connor Seaball, he's still 4K and 4K for a reason. He's really struggled his first couple of starts here. Bullpen behind him is decent, but I think Toronto bats can definitely get to him. Gossman on the other side too. Started out the season really strong, but he's really regressed a little bit recently, and the Red Sox have heated up. So he's probably the top pay up guy, and he's the most expensive pitcher on the slate, but I don't think it's worth playing him in cash. So for me, it's a GPP option today. I think I'm going to stick more in the mid range for my SP1 and my SP2. Red Sox bats, I think, make a good GPP against Gossman, and the Blue Jay bats, I think, are the second best slate next to the Dodgers at Coors here against Seabold. Next up, we have Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians, Sonny Gray and Tristan McKenzie. I think Gray is going to be quite popular here also. 8.5, really cheap on FanDuel. I think he's probably might be one of the top pitchers there. But I think, between he and Montgomery here on DraftKings could definitely make sense for your SP1, or maybe pair both of them. But I think Kirby's going to be like in the equation also when we get to that game. McKenzie on the other side, not super in love with him. He's pitched great at some point, but Minnesota has a lot of power. Wind's blowing in here at 14 miles per hour, and it's only 73 degrees, so that helps McKenzie a little bit, but it also helps Gray. Cleveland isn't like a real heavy strikeout team either, so I mean that might make the case, but Montgomery's not a great strikeout pitcher, so I mean, you've got like a lot of things canceling each other out when you're trying to make a decision here on who you want to play for your SP1. So Minnesota bats, I definitely like them. Definitely like Dodgers and Toronto ahead of them. Cleveland on the other side is probably just a leverage stack because Gray will have a lot of ownership. Miami Marlins and St. Louis, really not super interested in this game. Low total at 7.5, about almost a 4 total for St. Louis, almost a 3.56 for Miami. Lopez is a good pitcher. He's way overpriced here, so I don't think he's GPP only. Neutral to almost reverse splits here against a pretty right-handed lineup for St. Louis. So not super interested in him. Wainwright, I think I could consider. He is an inning eater. He was like, I think it was like Jamie Moyer on like Seattle a couple years ago. And I think he played it for the Yankees too for a bit. Just go out there and get a couple strikeouts, but just efficiency. Just knew how to pitch, would go like 7, turn it over to the setup guy and the bullpen and walk away, usually get the win, and not light the world on fire, but had a solid floor. And I think Wainwright has turned into that guy, towards the end of his career also. Still decent pitcher, knows the game, knows what to do out there, doesn't get himself into trouble, makes good decisions. He's a game manager pretty much as a pitcher. So I do like him as like potentially an SP2. candidate today at 7-6. I'm not interested in either offense. Like I said, both pitchers are pretty decent. Wind's blowing in at 10 miles per hour, so it's not like wind's going to help the ball fly out of the park or anything. So I'm just going to kind of move on from this game. Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals. Martin Perez against Chris Bubik. Perez has had a solid season. I think he's definitely in consideration if you want to pay up for a pitcher at 8-9. I mean, it's not a ton to pay up for. Here, it's only about, I think, 400 higher than Gray. But he's been like super, super solid this season. Kansas City is not like a potent offense at all. Again, the wind's blowing in here. It's 79 degrees, so it's not like 90 degrees. Great hitting weather for them. So I think definitely Perez is in play here. Bubik on the other side, he's really, really struggled. Probably one of the no interest in playing him here. So Texas, I think, makes one of the top stacks. Definitely like the Dodgers, Toronto, Minnesota over them, but I think that again they kind of pose the same problem as Washington does. Like, who do you stack here? Like, obviously you can take some of the top guys here and Simeon and Seager, and you have to make a choice on catcher between Garver and Heim because they both play the same position. Garcia, it's at 5.2, which is a little bit expensive. I know he's up against a bad lefty and has definitely potential for home run there. Then you have like Lowe and Smith, who are decent players, but it's lefty on lefty matchup, and Bubik's not horrible against lefties. And then you have like some really cheap 2K guys at the bottom lineup. So maybe do a wraparound stack and then save some money, or just take them as a secondary stack. But I think Texas definitely is in play as a stack today. Kansas City on the other side is just like leverage play against Perez. Not too much there. They only have a 4 total, not super exciting. Okay, to Coors Field finally. We have the Dodgers in Colorado. We have Tyler Anderson at 9.5K. That is super expensive. It would be hard to justify playing Tyler Anderson unless it was against Oakland at Dodger Stadium. So he's down at the bottom of the high guys, almost to the fade or no interest list here. I think GPP only. The Rockies they've been much better against left-handed pitcher and right-handed pitcher, so it does not bode well for him. But sometimes in the return to Coors Field in the first game, they really haven't adjusted to the change in the air and really haven't produced much. They have a 4.76 total, so it's not like it's a 5 or 6 total. Dodgers have a 6.74 total here, so they're obviously a top stack on the slate against Chad Krul, who is probably the biggest fade on the slate as a pitcher. Colorado on the other side, like I said, it's up against a decent left-handed pitcher and a really, really good bullpen, so I think you can stack them, but I like Boston and New York better as GPP options. Next up, we have White Sox and Los Angeles Angels, Lucas Giolito and Noah Syndergaard. Giolito is a good pitcher, but he's given up so much power recently, so many home runs, and the Angels have a lot of hitters. But here's the thing that we need to watch for, because there was a big, huge brawl. Watch on YouTube. It's highly entertaining. Sunflower seeds thrown all over the field, but it was like a multi person like melee there. Looked like a battle royal between Seattle and the Angels yesterday. So are suspensions coming? Potentially. So we'll have to see who is in the Angels lineup and who's in Seattle's lineup today. That could be very, very important. That could make Giolito a better pitcher, because if for some reason, again, I watched the video, but I didn't sit there to try to break down like who was involved and who might get thrown out and things like that. I'm sure that will come out later on today. But if some of these power hitters from the Angels are thrown out of the game or suspended for it, then it makes Giolito a better pitcher. But I think I would rather have the Angels as bats than Giolito as the pitcher. I think he's fine in GPPs. His price has come way down. He was a 10K guy. He's now at 8.3. He's even cheaper than Sonny Gray on FanDuel. So I think in GPPs, if you want to take the risk and he returns to form and that the Angels might be missing some guys, then go ahead and play him. Other than that, I think I'm not going to really touch him, especially in cash. Syndergaard on the other side, I have no interest in. He got blown up last start. He is a great pitcher to target guys with speed against, cannot hold a runner on to save his life. Bat wise, the White Sox, I think, make great GPP stack, especially if you throw some of the speed guys in there, and probably can get some power against Syndergaard. You have Sheets that's still like almost free there at 2.2. He was a really good hitter before he got hurt, so it's just a matter of time before he comes back. He might be a decent one-off there to take an outfield if you have one like spot left and you want to punt somebody to get people up on your other lineup spots there. And again, like the Angels, I think they're the top leverage play in the slate because I think Giolito, just by namesake, will get a lot of ownership. I think that they could absolutely light him up and crush him. Again, just be careful as to who's in the lineup. And again, they're hard because they're another hard team to stack because like Ward just cooled off a little bit. Like he was on a tear early in the season. You almost had like 3 6K guys leading off here. He's down to 4.9, which is getting a little bit reasonable. And there's some cheaper guys in the middle of this lineup that you could definitely target to try to make it work. Stashy also, he's better against lefties definitely, but he's cheap as a catcher. So there are ways to do it, and I think you definitely need to consider the Angels here as a stack potentially, especially more in tournaments and GPPs. The Orioles in Seattle is the last game on the slate here. You have George Kirby against the Baltimore Angels. Very, very good, talented young pitcher, can get some strikeouts. It's in Seattle, so it's definitely a good situation for pitching. I absolutely love him. I think he's going to be my SP2 tonight on DraftKings. He might actually be my SP1, even though he's cheaper than who my SP2 is. And then I figure out if I'm taking Gray or Montgomery or Wainwright or whoever else there. And then on FanDuel, I think definitely he could be your SP1 also. If you're not going with like Montgomery or Gray. So Baltimore bats obviously are cheap, probably more of a leverage play, but I just threw them in the cheap category on the sheet. Seattle, again, they could be super, super cheap because it all depends on, I know Winker definitely was involved, but who else, was involved in that melee, who might be suspended here. But the team, there's only 3 bats that are above like 4K here. Everybody else is really, really cheap against Wells. But Wells is a pitcher. I skipped over that. I don't mind him here also as like a sneaky cheap play at 6.2. Seattle, if they do lose some of this, he's been able to hold his own here. And I think, he's worthy as an SP2 in a tournament. So let's look at the builds and we'll get you on your way for your Monday. So first up here, as soon as I can get the thing to open it up. There we go. Like I said, Kirby, probably my number 1 pitcher there. Then I'm going to decide between Montgomery and Gray. Definitely stacking the Dodgers. Will Smith, Freeman, Turner, and Taylor are the core plays here. I don't know why people keep on playing Max Muncy. He has been absolutely horrible this year. He's hitting like well below the Mendoza line. He's barely hitting. Let me look it up here. He's barely hitting even like over 100, and people continue to play him, and his projection keeps on being high, and he's like almost 5K here. He's batting 162. I mean, it's not that bad, but he had against Cincinnati like 4 games ago, he had 22 DK points, but I don't see him over 10 DK points since June 9th. There's a lot of zeros in here, and there's a lot of single digit numbers, like very, very low. So I'm off on Matt Muncy. So tonight he's going to hit 3 home runs because I am throwing shade at him right now, but not interested. Why I'm interested is Trey Thompson, who is Klay Thompson's brother, who is a very, very good player and almost free on both sites. So if he is in the lineup, even though he's batting 9th, it makes a nice wraparound. I am throwing him as a minimum price player in Coors Field. Sorry, not pitcher, batter. Definitely high interest there. So then the trouble is who to fill in with these positions if I don't play Muncy, because I have like middle infield spots here, and I only have about 4K left. I think it's like about 3.8 for the 3 spots if I go with these guys, and that's going paying down for Montgomery and not getting up to Gray. So I think Washington makes sense here, even though you can get Soto in there and then maybe Hernandez. And I think there's a cheap third baseman potentially. Pittsburgh, I think you can make work, or you might just want to take like the best 3 one-offs that you can find here. Like either take, like I said, a really cheap outfielder, like Sheets I was mentioning earlier, and then maybe you can get like Simeon from Texas, or a decent player from Minnesota, one of it's hard because even like if you're thinking Toronto, you're not getting like the beef of their lineup in second base or third base. For Boston, you could. Yankees, again, same thing. So it's just a hard fill-in position there. Maybe take some guys from Coors Field. So just have to see when the lineups come out. It's kind of an awkward build, but I think Washington's where I'm leaning right now. For FanDuel, it's a little bit easier. I'm going to take Kirby or Mott. Dummer's my SP1 here. Freeman, Simeon, Turner, Taylor, and Seager. I'm going to throw Texas in there, probably doing a wraparound stack with the cheap guys at the bottom to make it work. And then Thompson, if he's available, throw him in there. He's 2.5 on FanDuel, so he's a little bit more expensive there. So if he's not in, then maybe I'll just throw in again Sheets, who's super cheap, and then fill in with Texas or one-offs. But I really want to get 4 Dodgers in there, and then I really want to try to get the Texas bats as my secondary stack. Then for GPP, so many places go tonight, but DraftKings, Perez and Wainwright, I like as the pitchers. Texas stack here with Pittsburgh, so Garver, Heim, Vogelbach is super, super cheap. Has split advantage at first base. Simeon, Hayes, Seager, Cruz, depending on how much salary you want left. A. Garcia, if you or Reynolds. And then here, like if you go with the cheaper version of here, with like Cruz and Reynolds over Seager and Garcia, then you might be able to get like Trout or Ohtani or Ward or somebody in there in the outfield as a one-off. Buxton, or take one of the Toronto guys. Lots of great options there. And then GPP and FanDuel, I'm taking Gray as my SP1. Love the price on him there. Blue Jay stack, and again, I'm going with Pittsburgh with the Blue Jays here. I just think they fit the positions well, but by all means, like Blue Jays are the primary stack you want to go after. If you want to fit in other guys with one-offs, then that's perfectly fine also. Again, if you want to like punt one of the positions and try to get some of the Minnesota bats in there, you could probably get Buxton and Correa in there, and then takes like 2 cheaper people at like second base or third base. So that's what we got going on for today. If you have questions, put them in the comments below, and we'll see what we can do to help you out there. Or hit me up at Twitter, Megalore31. Yesterday, like Sundays are hard days sometimes for McKinley and I to get videos out, just with church responsibilities or job responsibilities. I've got NASCAR going on. So unfortunately, we couldn't get a video out yesterday, but that's why I say hit me up at Megalore31 on Twitter. Just follow me, I'll follow you back. My DMs are open, and a couple people reached out and said, hey, you know what, no video today, can you help me out with the slate? And gave them some direction as to where to go, and hopefully it helped and worked out for them. So we're here to help you guys. That's what we do run a website too, so if you want the full like access to everything, like whether we have video or not, like we always do Coors for like all the slates. So check out FSi DFS. It's not super expensive like some of the other content out there. Our pricing is super reasonable. We do a VIP package which covers almost like all the sports out there too, and we have several free things too, so it's worth just signing up and getting in our Discord and just seeing like the free sports that we offer coverage for you. So appreciate you guys watching this video as always. I've just been a great season so far. I think we're like 78 days into it. So built a lot of great new relationships with players out there. Really have appreciated the feedback that you guys have given us, like the people have reached out to me and I've met through this DFS players or baseball in the community. So again, appreciate you watching. Like our video, subscribe to our channel so we know our videos are coming out. Share with your friends. Let's make this community bigger and bigger, because the more collective knowledge we have, the more we can help each other succeed in the sport. So again, I'm Megalore31. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Good luck in your contest tonight, everybody.